I'm Alex Howard.
And I'm Amanda Silver, and this is Dirty Laundry. And today we have on who I think might be the future Prime Minister of Canada.
We're predicting this.
Yeah, you heard it here first, people. The future Prime Minister of Canada on our show
Future is
today.
female.
Melissa Lantsman is the deputy leader of the Conservative Party.
Mm-hmm.
And she is an MP for Thornhill.
Mm-hmm.
And she is just an all-around boss. And she's not afraid to tell it like it is. And she's so approachable.
Yeah, she's lovely.
She really is lovely. And I'm so excited for this conversation. She's doing some amazing work at protecting Canadians.
Yeah, she is really fighting the good fight.
She really is.
For change that you and I see needs to happen.
Needs to happen. We see
yesterday.
Intimate partner violence is an epidemic in this country. I mean, in the world, but in this country specifically. And so how do we make changes? By changing the criminal code.
Exactly.
And she's here to talk about that. So welcome, Melissa.
Politics is one of those things where you look at it from afar when you're young and you're like, I don't know who does that. I don't know how they get into that. Like, I don't know what the path to get there is. Like, there's no, when you want to be a lawyer, like you go to, you go to school and then you go to law school and then you article and then you lawyer.
Yeah.
And politics has just a million different paths into it. So we've got people who did the law school track and those who, are small business owners, those who are plumbers and electricians. And that's what makes the House of Commons good. So I looked at it as like a big way to impact change.
Yeah.
If you ask me later on, is that what's actually going on? Some days I'm not sure. But most days you play a role, in my case, in the opposition, to ask really serious questions about people who make some of, the biggest decisions in our lives,
right?
Around the criminal code, around taxation, around, the things that make the country what it is.
Which is why we maybe need such a diverse, kind of path to get there.
Oh,
so
for sure.
We have this beautiful...
I often talk to young people and they're like, well, so how do you get here? And I'm like, I don't know.
You sort of fall into it in some way?
Well,
like,
I don't have like the famous last name, and my grandparents weren't like justices in the courts. You do it by doing things in your community, and you sort of find a path in of like, where can you make the biggest amount of change? And in my case, like, I got involved in partisan politics and conservative politics when I was super young. And I when you find your people, you find people that like, oh my gosh, these people believe in the same value system as I do. And like, they are also nerds who are here in this office, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you find your friends, and you realize that the people that you get behind when you're working in politics are, they're pretty special people that want to put everything aside and work for their community. Like I always say, like, I've 80,000 plus bosses in Thornhill who sort of always, they're always like very generous with both their accolades and their advice. So you got a lot of people telling you that if you were a surgeon, I don't think there's a lot of people telling you to like how to do surgery.
It's so true.
So it's you get the best of the community. You get the worst of the community too, and you get to serve the place, in my case, where I grew up and where my parents built a life for us.
That's so beautiful.
It's so
That's
cool.
actually so, like, if you take it back to that grassroots idea of making change within your community, like you were literally doing that. That's so sweet.
It all starts somewhere. In my case, my parents moved to Thornhill. They're immigrants to the country, so they moved there, and I'm the first one to have been born there, raised there, and actually serve as the member of parliament, because it's a pretty young community in a lot of parts of it. There's an old Thornhill, but for the most part, Thornhill is like most of the houses, the single family homes there, are about 45 years old, and it'll give you a clue as to like what my age demographic is. But they moved there when I was super young, and I want to have the Thornhill that I grew up in. Obviously, with the changes of growth and better services and all of that, and we work well with our other politicians in the area, and it's kind of a neat thing about Vaughan. Like, all of our politicians at all of the levels actually get along pretty well.
That's unusual, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't want to talk so much about politics.
But I want to know, like, before we even get into what we're here to talk about, like, what's it like behind the scenes? Because you see on TV, the House of Commons very heated, and they're yelling at each other, and the hands are waving, and everything's flying, and like, what's it really like?
Yeah, if you're watching, if you're watching those clips of question period or anything, you're not really getting it.
Okay.
I believe me, it is the most fun part of the day. It might be. Might be not the most productive part of the day, but it is an important part of the system where, again, you have the people in the country that are important, that are making the biggest decisions for Canadians, and you have the ability to question those decisions. Where your tax dollars are going, what the policies are going forward to help people. So important part, but lots of stuff happens, behind the curtain, per se. It happens in committee rooms, and it happens in bars or in restaurants outside of Parliament Hill, where you're doing some horse trading on trying to figure out.
So that's kind of what we see on TV.
Yeah, it's kind of what you see it. I mean, like minus like that. There's like not like murder and like there's no violence, and it's not like sort of House of Cards-ish.
Right, it's like in DC, and you're like,
But there's like a careful balance in making sure that the issues that you care about are getting advanced in some way, and then there's like the issues of the day, of events, of stuff that happens, of stuff that like eats up your day. Yeah. When you have like a plan for the day, and you're like, okay, well, we're not doing that. We're going to do all of the things that are pivoting. There's a lot of pivoting.
A lot of pivoting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about why we're really here, because I know you have limited time and big, important things to do for the world, for Canada.
Yes.
Make sure we're on it, but go.
Okay. Bill C-225.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about it.
Frank Caputo, that's the name you got to remember. And
Frank Caputo.
Yeah, he's the guy who brings the bill forward.
Okay.
And a long time. So first of all, he was Crown Prosecutor. So he's seen like the system firsthand, and I think he's a guy who has seen the system consistently like screw people. I don't know if you're allowed to say that on your podcast.
We say it all.
We say it all.
Okay, yeah. So that's like he's seen it firsthand where where victims are like often an afterthought in the entire system. So he brought forward this bill, advocate around intimate partner violence, and he's got a bunch of us in caucus that have talked about this and done things in different ways, and legislation that has gone through the House already that sort of touched on this. Right. But this one, there's like a private member's business draw, and he drew like number one.
Yes, we've heard about this draw.
Yes, it's
what a cool
like a big lottery. Everybody
Yes.
goes to this room and they pick names out of a hat, and so he was number one. So he brought this. He brought this forward, and the bill like has a couple of different things that it does, and most importantly, it makes the murder of an intimate partner first-degree murder.
Love this.
And you'd be surprised that not everybody loves this.
I know. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
It's
weird.
Super shocking.
Right now in the system, there's like 3 categories of first degree murder.
Okay.
And so adding one of those obviously requires some discussion.
Sure.
But it's got to be planned and deliberate. That's one category. The other category is if it's like there's a predicated offense like kidnapping. Okay. And then the other one is a peace officer. So that has its own category, which you're like,
that makes sense.
They're putting their life on the line. Let's make sure.
Yeah. So this one, so this one would be, a fourth category of making it no matter what. If you're in an intimate relationship and there is murder, that it is first degree murder, no matter what.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they just pass that in France?
Maybe
you don't know it.
That's a good question.
You're not meant to know other countries.
We should know that though. It would be interesting to see the debate that they went through, and of course, with every piece of legislation, it's a big deal to change laws in this country. So it requires and it requires scrutiny. This one seems like pretty straightforward to me, given like the epidemic of this like out of
really
control.
And like we noticed COVID
countrywide though, like even Quebec. I was reading about something today just about the levels, the increase.
Massive increase. So from 2014 to 2022, I'm just like, I want to make sure that I have these numbers right, but like an increase of 19% in women and girls, 21% in men and boys. Intimate partner sexual violence in those years increased 163%. And if you don't think this is a problem, 60% of all violent crime is between intimate partners. So I don't... 60. So
I just want to give that a minute.
Yeah, like I don't know how you can't see this as like something plaguing, society that you have to do something about. And it's like one of those things that, unless you work directly sort of
in the field.
Adjacent to it, unless you are close to someone, and even if you're close to someone, there's so much stigma around it or so much fear.
Definitely.
And victimization. Like you live, a home turns into a prison for somebody who's a victim of this. There's not a lot of people to talk about it. And so when you read these stats, you're like, no way. Like if this was like a true thing, I would know something about it.
But it's there.
It's
there.
Real.
Yeah, and we see it because we're in that sort of field.
We're in the field,
I guess most people don't.
But if you don't really, I'm in this position, so I probably, hear a lot more stories than the average person. And I don't know very many people who have talked to me about it, but I'll never forget. It was my first week of being an MP, even before I was really an MP, but I sort of took over for someone and they're like, you're an MP. You got to
jump in the deep end.
Do the thing. And you're like, well, where's the manual on this? And somebody was sitting across and they didn't talk about it so openly. But the makeup covered the bruises and the sleeves, covered, the sleeves were both sort of pulled down over the hands. And you're like, I am not trained for this. And I don't really know what to do here. But I know that as a legislator and one that wants to be there for a while, I've got to do something about this, or I've got to find some people that know more about this that are going to do something about it.
So has it become your mission from that first week? Or this has been something
Look, I think it's been, you sometimes don't know the complexity and sort of the breadth of problems until they face you right in the face. And there is a whole bunch of problems in Canada, depending on where you live, what your demographics makeup are of your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
There's a couple different Canadas happening. And so there's housing affordability issues and food affordability, food insecurity in Canada, which is crazy.
Literally in my neighborhood, I watch them line up at the food bank every Tuesday and I'm like, really?
Yeah, 2.2 million people are using a food bank in a single month in this country.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. So
our country,
in our Canada,
that's so developed and progressive and
crime, chaos, the drugs in the street, the disorder, I don't know about you, but I assume we're sort of in that same demographic. I don't walk around in some places in the country. I certainly don't do it alone. I've changed my habits about sort of how I use public transportation, and that's just it's not. So I'm scared of it. I'm scared of public transportation.
She won't even ride the TTC.
I wouldn't go on the subway with her. She's like, oh, you're coming. I'm like, oh, I want to go.
Yeah, but that's the thing. People have changed their habits. And so there is a massive amount of issues. And so there is a group of us that I think have sort of taken this on with Frank's lead and some others. And I've got some time to take on some other big issues. But this one's hard, not to throw everything into. You guys do this as a gig, and I always, people always say I don't know how you do your job. I don't know how you guys do your job.
That's so true.
And I don't know how you don't take it home.
It's hard. There's a lot of pain, and
it's really hard. It's a lot of therapy on the side.
Yeah, I bet.
With it. It's hard not to take it home. You want to make change, and safety, in my opinion, should be a right, not a privilege. And yet in your own home that's meant to be your safe haven, as you said, could be a prison. That's not okay. That's not the Canada I want to be living in, especially in 2020. I was going to say 5, but 6. That's bonkers. So
there's a bunch of other things with this law.
Let's get back
on track.
It.
There is Frank in the bill.
There is, there are changes in terms of mechanisms to bring back people to court, and it's really making sure that we've got a problem with reoffenders. We've got a bail problem.
So recidivism, like, is that now? Are we looking at actually like incarceration as not being a great model for this, or is it more trying to change the law to accept the fact that it's going to happen?
Well, I do think there needs to be some changes on the bail reform we have right now.
Okay.
We've got a couple of bills that were passed in the last 10 years by the Liberal government, C5 and C75. One allows you to serve your sentence at home, and we've just had we've just had repeat violent offenders that reoffend and re-victimize the communities in which they came from, and that needs to stop. And I think whether you believe in incarceration or not, there needs to be a solution to this problem, because there is chaos in communities.
Yes. And sending them home, and so many of like the Bailey McCourt, so many of these.
The Bailey McCourt story is.
I mean,
Frank's bill is called Bailey's Law.
Okay.
And the McCourt, I've gotten to know some of the McCourt family, and they've been pushing this with a couple of different organizations, particularly around intimate partner violence. But her ex-husband was like had a rap sheet of charges, and those charges were stayed. So he's back out there, and guess what? He kills her.
Yeah.
And like, you've got to look at these situations and so many others, and say like that can't happen. Like, she's the victim. She was the victim once. She's the victim again.
Yeah.
And so many other families face that.
Yeah. And it just seems like it's happening too much for us to continuously turn a blind eye and be shocked by these,
And then it's sort of this performative reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, this will never happen again. And,
well, these are, this is the same government that put these laws in on weak bail policy, which allows those repeat violent offenders to go out and commit crimes. And now that, they're purporting to fix that problem with some revisions to their own bail. And it's like, it's hard to buy that. Because like, this was an ideological, everybody gets a second, a third, and a fourth, and a fifth chance, and like, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. We had a victim on, Kate Alexander, recently, who was a victim. And
I've watched Kate on so many
podcasts. A powerhouse.
Yeah,
she's incredible.
And her assailant,
big fan, Kate.
Yeah, we love you, Kate. We love you. Like her assailant, I guess is the word. He was let out, I think, on $500 bail. Like,
come on,
that's a joke.
He beat her to an inch of her life.
Like, that's just
like,
a joke.
Her head was cracked open. Or like the worst. Like, how exactly? How is that allowed to happen? $500, off you go. Go find another victim, or go back to your victim.
There's some crazy stats. I mean, this one's a bit dated, but the mayor of Vancouver had said that there, over the course of a year, 40 people were arrested, like 600 times.
The same 40 people.
The same 40 people. So, like, look, maybe we don't have that many criminals. The fact is that they keep committing crimes. And mind you, like, some of them are not, violent or like, you got to qualify. I think you've got to qualify that if you're being honest. But like, clearly there's a problem.
Yeah.
And clearly it's the same people, committing the violence. And on this specifically is like, it's so hard to get to the root of sort of that intimate partner relationship.
Yeah.
And it's so different in terms of the crimes, and it's so different. The trust relationship is so different that you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And the predictability is there because, a regular criminal who has hurt somebody who they have no relationship with at a bar, right? It could be, you can't really predict that. It happens, and that's a whole other animal. But here we know who their victims are going to be.
Yeah.
They've already assaulted them. They had a relationship with them. They're ripe for the picking. We know who they are.
Yeah, and the judge has to be able to like put his foot down, and rather than if something happens and then they breach conditions, that's kind of when they go back to court. There's this bill also has judges saying like you gotta come back within 7 days before this gets out of hand. So the bill does that as well, and I think everybody's okay with those parts of the bill. And I think the thing to stop the thing that has everybody kind of with their sort of feathers ruffled is the first degree murder charge, which I think is the most important
because
part of this bill.
Because of the sentencing that comes with,
because of the sentencing that comes with, because of the punishment, certainly because of the punishment, because of the deterrence that comes with that punishment, and like because there needs to be consequences for others. Like this is not complicated to me. I know that adding things around murder is like a very serious thing.
Yeah.
This is a very serious problem.
That's the thing.
And it doesn't get more serious than taking someone's life.
Exactly. Right. And there's clear statistics. There's clear patterns of behavior. Like this isn't just coming out of left field where we don't have these examples and precedents, which isn't that what the law is based on, right? Like you have to be able to roll with the times, and the times are indicating that we've got a serious problem.
Yeah. And you got Bailey's family, like, screaming from the rooftops, and many families like her who are like suffering in silence. Bailey's family is like really special. They just like they took this up and pushed for this, and Frank's like very close with them as well, and sort of pushed this through Parliament. And they were that feeling. You want to know what it's like? Some days in Parliament are like really cuckoo bananas, and then some days in Parliament when you're voting in favor, at least at the first reading, if you follow politics, Bailey's family was in the gallery.
Oh wow!
And so like they're just like one step closer. They're never going to bring Bailey back, but they're going to. Their advocacy, Frank's bill, our support of this bill is going to make sure that there isn't going to be another Bailey.
Yeah. And we're so lucky to have you, to have Frank, to have these folks that are fighting the good fight, because as we can see with Bailey's family, it's often the victim or the victim's family that have to be the one to advocate. And so to me, that's the most heartbreaking part, when you're like, you are grieving a loss that no parent ever wants to experience, which is the loss of your child. And now you have to go fight because the law, which is set up to protect, did not.
And they're fighting for others.
Exactly.
Right? Totally. It's not even like she's alive and they can fight for her, which
they were crying and Frank was crying.
I have goosebumps this
like
entire conversation.
Yeah.
It's so what
I'll find you the clip.
Yeah,
yes,
you're gonna put this up.
We can, yes.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
You can't see them because you're not allowed to look
Yeah.
at who's in the gallery, but you could see that he looks up, and like they're there, and it was like it's like one of those times where when you're voting and there's not a lot of people around, so they were kind of the only ones there, and it was nice to see for a moment there as the government supported at least the first part of this bill. Now it goes to committee.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask
what's
you
the
that.
next step?
So we went to the first reading.
Yeah, so it passed there.
Amazing.
And at first we weren't going to get support, and then we got some support from the Liberals at least to get to committee. Now it's kind of stuck in committee. It goes to the Justice and Human Rights Committee of the House of Commons, and the government, or at least the majority on that committee with government with the chair, decide when it comes up. So I mean, if you're asking me, like, it could come up on Monday. Like they could make it come up on Monday. I don't know that they're going to. There's like lots of things to study, and private members' business. It's like it's very cool if you get a bill through, but there's not a whole lot of them that pass because they're not the priority of the government. They come from an MP. So I hope to see this like sail through committee. I think it should be studied. I think it's pretty obvious. I'd support the bill as is.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to ask some tough questions of the bill, there's no
that's
problem with that.
wonderful. No,
we need to have questions.
You do.
It should be a non-partisan issue, never mind a bipartisan issue.
Well, exactly.
And,
right?
and
this is
sometimes
about safety,
it is,
right?
and sometimes it is. In the case of Kira's law, which is a law that has been passed and like fully supported by all parties, even championed by all parties. That was a law that, in layman's terms, like got judges to do some training around what to look for in the case of abuse. Yeah, it's great.
Again, to me, that's
so necessary. Well, it's so common sense.
Yeah, proactive instead of reactive.
But it wasn't easy to get over. It wasn't easy to get over the finish line, and like these bills shouldn't necessarily be easy, and they shouldn't sail through. Everybody who brings forward one of these bills is just like, this is the most important thing to me, and I want the entire country focused on this thing. And like the truth is there's lots of competing priorities in Ottawa. So,
and they should be scrutinized. We should ask those critical questions. Who benefits from this? Like, what is the purpose of this? Is it politics? of politics, or is there is it cost prohibitive? Why would someone stop it?
Look, sometimes the reality is sometimes it's politics. It becomes a bargaining chip in in a big, in a big thing. It shouldn't, but that's life. That's life. Yeah, there's a bit of that. And then some people have some real questions. Some people have some deep discomfort about using the force of the criminal justice system, which I think has let people down for the last 10 years, in a way that I think it should be used. There are people who do not believe that we need bail reform in this country, and a lot of them sit as MPs. Luckily, the government has acquiesced to trying to fix the errors that they have made. I don't think they go far enough. I never think they're going to go far enough. Yeah. And it's our job to make sure that we tell the stories of the people in our communities. Yes. That we tell the stories of those who have been victims of crime, and that we make sure that remains a national priority and a national issue, because there's no reason, you said it yourself, you need to feel safe in your community. And the second that you don't, we're not doing our jobs.
Is this bill really focused on the victim themselves or the family as a whole? Are children being considered in this, or are we really trying to keep it very niche?
Yeah, of course. I think all of those things. Okay. I think I think it certainly protects the family unit, the ability to correct the errors in the justice system. I think protects the children, but this really is about the perpetrator, and the stopping the ex-husband. I don't even want to say his name, but the ex-husband of Bailey McCourt from ever doing that again. He should have. Those charges shouldn't have been stayed, and
that's the thing.
Obviously, he's in jail
Canada
now
has
because
this reputation of being soft on crime, right?
We are.
Yeah, I think
we are soft on crime. It's it's almost like it's a joke. It's you can kill someone in Canada, or you can do this in Canada and get off in 5 years, or get off on bail. How does that change? It starts with this, and
it really starts with you
should be afraid to commit a crime, even the car thefts. It's almost become this joke of oh, well, just leave your car keys for this front door and let them take it, and they're on the
better
nest.
than smashing the window.
Yeah, and often because you don't want a home invasion, so it's here, you just leave your car keys by the door.
Yeah, it's the worst game of what would you rather, right?
It's such a good way of putting it.
Yeah. It makes no sense. And look, there's other things that could be done. We know that car thefts are a product of a huge organized network of crime. Yeah. Put some scanners at the port. Have some exit controls. That these cars aren't on the streets here. They're on cars in Mogadishu in weeks from now. So make sure we know what's coming in and out of the country. Go after the kingpin of all of this. And the same goes with our failed drug experiments. We're getting into a lot of things, but
the macro issues here.
The idea of watching your community suffer from widespread addiction right on the streets, tent cities.
So heartbreaking.
The plan that we've had as a country that the government has supported with provincial governments, it didn't work, and we have to have to admit that. Yeah. You can't call anyone who calls it out heartless or anti-science, because it clearly doesn't work. Yeah. There are people sort of folded in half, suffering, from fentanyl addiction, and the government's plan is to, provide what they call safe supply and sort of continue and and perpetuate this sadness, and nobody's sort of focused on the recovery angle, and so we got to do things differently, and so that's the job I think that I take pretty seriously in opposition, that we take pretty seriously, getting the right people to tell us the experts to inform some of our decision making, and talking to you who do this every day, who know you've forgotten more than I will know about this, because you deal with it every day. And I think that you need to play a part in this. You need to tell MPs and people who make laws what the problem is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to bring them the stories in obviously with the understanding privacy, but you need to bring them the stories saying that this isn't a one-off.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a thing that happens.
It's a systemic
epidemic,
problem.
And
Do you think it's like an issue of like in terms of trying to, test a theory and then bring it, iterate and be like, oh, that didn't work? Is it hubris? Like, are we looking at ego? I don't want to have egg on my face kind of vibe, so I'd rather not admit that I screwed up. And this is not directed obviously at one person, or even one party. Or is it simply just things take so long in our system?
It's a snail's pace, right?
It is. Look, things take long. That's for sure. Things don't need to take long. Like, we've added layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy. I think when you're making sort of big changes, you need to scrutinize legislation and but the implementation of these things take really long. And sometimes it's politics and a lot of the time it's just ideology. I see the world differently. And I think bad guys should go to jail for doing bad things. And I'm not afraid to say that. And I think that looking at what's going on right now, and if you read the stats, like violent crime up 151%, in the community that I represent, anti-Semitic crime up 250%.
Unacceptable.
Like, this is these numbers are very clear. So I think somebody should be in trouble with this. I think we should have deterrence. I think laws that we have on the books should be enforced. And again, like I'm going to be the one that says that out loud, and I run with a bunch of colleagues that will say that out loud too.
And we're going to be the ones that say thank you for doing this work.
Yeah, and share as much as we can.
But I hope that I hope that you are able to to share as much as you can from your own experience to say that this is not okay. I hope that you and those who are listening to this right now pick up the phone and call the people that make the decisions and say, like, what are you doing about this? Like, we're living in sort of a banana republic where everybody gets to do what they want, and there's victims at the end of this.
And can I ask you honestly, does that work?
When somebody calls me and they've got like an issue, you can attest to this. Like, I spend a whole day of the week doing sort of Zoom calls with like everything that the office has brought to me. The office listens to this. Like, we pay close attention to what's going on, because at the end of the day, you want to get voted in.
Yeah, of course.
And you've got to answer. And there's some things I'm pretty honest in conversations. Like, I'm happy to like listen. I might not agree. Like, if I don't see the world the same way you do, like, we can agree to disagree. But I'm also not scared to admit that I've changed my mind on things.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're open to that. I think people are afraid to contact their MP. Someone else will do it. Or
do it. Do it. Get on the phone right now.
One person,
or they're too busy. They don't care.
Yeah, I'm just one person. What are they going to listen to me for?
I check the email of our inbox almost every night just to see what's like in
topical.
The office is like super great at getting back to people and those things. But I want to see what's going on, and the best way to see what's going on is to be sort of plugged into the community.
Yeah. So ideally, this bill gets passed. This is changing our criminal code.
Yeah.
Like,
let's think twice before, Canada
has this reputation of like, oh, so sorry. No, you go first. I'll go first. But so maybe that's part of it. But we've
got our problems too.
We do have major problems. And I think we keep resting on our laurels of being this like really happy, friendly, hand-holding country. But we got some dark, dirty secrets.
Yeah. Look, I wanna build a country, and I think that there is lots of people that are on board with us. We want to build a country where you can work hard, get ahead, live in a safe neighborhood, have a pride in your country, in your flag, in your military, and be able to do it without the government on your back all the time. Like, I'm sort of like a leave me alone type politician, which sounds odd for a politician, but I believe in like we've got smart people in this country. We've got the most educated workforce. We've got natural resources that are sort of stuck in the ground. We've got enough food to feed ourselves in the world. And if we just got off of everybody's back, lowered taxes, let people keep more of what they earned, and just got government out of the business of Canadians, I think like the sky's the limit for us.
I agree.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, people.
Yeah, you did.
Call your MP.
Call your MP.
Yes.
Any last things, or we got to let you go because I know you're pressed for time. But
I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to see all of the in the mail in my inbox.
Yes,
But yes, make sure, like, if you think that this is a problem, if you want to see Bill 225 PAST. If you want to reach out to Frank Caputo, he's easy to find online. Tell him that this is good and to keep going. And we're going to make sure we do this for Bailey, and we're going to make sure we do it for everybody else.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you
for being here, for your advocacy. Oh, we're just
speaking up and speaking out and being everyone's voice, because we really need people like you running our country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. This episode was written and created by Alex Howard and Amanda Silver. Produced, edited, and engineered by RTF Productions. Make sure to rate and review our show if you loved it, and give us a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcast to stay up to date on all upcoming episodes. Thanks for listening, and go easy on us. We're not your ex.